Welcome to the Storied Motherhood Book Club. Storied Motherhood is a book club of mothers reading stories together while living out our own. Storied Motherhood is an Instagram-based book club with 3 hosts, Ashley at This Joy-Filled House, Amelia at Brave Little Learners, and Jacki over at These Slow Days. At the end of a fantastic month of reading Little Women together, Jacki, Amelia, and Ashley all went live together and discussed the part 1 of Little Women. Listen and enjoy as you hear Jacki, Ashley, and Amelia chatting together and just discussing things that they learned. Amelia led us, and we loved and enjoyed the novel for that month.
Hi. I'm good. I lost my mount thing, and so you're on Quirkle right now. My board game.
Oh. I love it. I know when I was setting up my camera a second ago, and for some reason it wasn't locking, so it was crooked like that. And I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? But anyway, I got it to work, and we're good now. So
awesome.
Yes. So we're just waiting for Amelia. So we wanted to get on today. We had been talking about doing just a live or something at the end of the month just to talk about Little Women and just to get together to chat too.
It would be to interview the author.
I know. Yeah, that would be really cool. But can't do that. This is the next best thing. So yes. So I would love to hear, in the comments and from you two, Ashley, what's something that you really enjoyed this month from Little Women, or just the posting even that Amelia
did such a good job
for us. She really did. Yes. I'm going to see if I can invite her again here. I don't know what happened exactly. So can you talk to us, Ashley, about what was your favorite thing from this month? I guess.
So whenever we have a classic book in the book club, the engagement is just phenomenal. I always love how you guys dive in and you're just excited to be here. Amelia did such a good job hosting this month. And if you guys don't know, we take turns hosting each month. So this is Amelia's month. She does the classic books. And then Jacki, you do, what do we decide? They're called homeschool books, but they can also be.
I think, I have done a lot of the homeschool good books, but I think we're taking 2 or 3 months apart each. So my next month is next month for Modern Miss Mason, and I'm really excited about that. And then you're next after that month, and that's kind of how we take it over. But yeah, mine have fallen into being pretty much.
And mine are the Bible study homeschool momming motherhood books. Yeah. So that's been fun to do that. So I've really been enjoying how that's been flowing. Amelia always does a fabulous job hosting for us on the classic books, and anytime she hosts, she just does a phenomenal job. So
right, she really does. And I think starting out January when we that's kind of when we did our rebrand Storied Motherhood at the beginning of January, and then she also headed up Pride and Prejudice, and she did such a good job with that. So yeah, I really love reading along.
I have never read Little Women before, and I know I'm going to get spoilers today, but I have not finished the book yet. So the only information that I knew about Little Women was quite literally what Joey and Rachel talk about on Friends. That was my only exposure to Little Women. I've never seen any of the shows or movies. Yeah. It's never been part of my life. So it's been really fun reading it this month. Marmee is my favorite character. I want to be her when I grow up. She's just the sweetest.
Yes, totally. She is. She's awesome. So growing up, first of all, could you try to invite Amelia? Because I can't seem to get her connected on this side. I should be able to have 3 people live, but maybe there's a quirk with that. So maybe it was us today. But so at the bottom, if you just go to little person icon.
You have to, because you're the dude that started it.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Amelia, if you're watching. This is technical difficulties. I just keep saying she, like I can't, she can't
Do you want
join,
me to hop
basically.
out and see if that's the problem? Do you want me to hop
What was
out? Because I
that?
know you can just re-invite me if it. Okay.
Okay,
I'll
yeah,
be
that
right
sounds
back,
good.
guys.
Yeah, come back to me. Okay, so I wanted to just kind of pop into like how I originally I started learning about Little Women. So I grew up, I was homeschooled like 6 years growing up, and we had a little homeschool group, and we put on plays sometimes. And so one of those plays was on Little Women. It was on the very first chapter, so Playful Pilgrims, I believe. And so I actually was Jo in that, and my friends were other characters. But now as an adult, I don't know that I was ever really like Jo, but as an adult, I definitely am not like Jo. I definitely am more of a Beth Meg person. So when I took the quiz that Amelia had posted, I got Beth. And I don't know, I feel like that's relatively accurate. I don't know if it's completely accurate, but what did you guys get? Drop a comment and let me know what you got if you did the quiz that Amelia posted. And if you did not do it yet, you can go back into our highlights for Little Women, and you can look at go through there and find the quiz that way. But I thought that was funny. It was just kind of a fun thing to do. And anyway, so I feel like this is the direction that we kind of wanted to go with this live was to hold on, I'm gonna invite Ashley again here, see if she can hop in and join me. We wanted to focus on Marmee, and
So I texted her. I don't know if she's around. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I was just kind of like I was talking about the quiz and what you got. Who did you get?
I don't remember. I was trying to think back here on bands. I think I posted it on bands. Yeah. But I identify with Jo a whole lot. Yeah. I have a lot of quick anger issues. I'm a spicy person. So I want to be more like Beth, but I'd be lying if I said I was like Beth. Oh, Amelia just texted. It's okay. Yeah, hold on. Totally. We're good. Okay. Keep going. Okay. You can see my face when I'm texting. Okay, guys.
You look really cute, by the way. Did you get
Thank you. No.
Really good. That's like,
I watched it.
Like,
I watched it.
In your face. Okay, that can help for sure. That's awesome. But yeah, so anyway, so we did a play like growing up on playing pilgrims, and I don't think I was Jo at all, but I think when you read the book, or at least when you watch the movie, like the 1994 movie, you definitely you love Jo. Like Jo is like the heroine of like the movie and all of that, and she kind of gets like this stardom, and so it's like you naturally want to kind of be like that. And that's kind of how I always felt growing up. It's like, I want to be like Jo, like I want to be like her character and who she is, because I feel like, and I mean, someone can disagree with me, I feel like in the movie, at least the 1994 Winona Ryder version, she is definitely the sister that's talked about the most and followed the most, her story and her character. But I feel like reading the book, because I've never read the book, and I actually didn't even I'm on chapter 21, so I still need to get to 25 by the end of the month. But I feel like Jo is like, she's definitely a big, strong character, but I feel like there's like the author, Louisa May Alcott, does a great job of really developing everyone's characters well, that I feel like can't really be shown in the movie as well. It was like with Pride and Prejudice, for example, I remember like reading it this past January, and then I watched the movie, and it was like they, the characters weren't really developed quite as well as I was hoping. And so I wanted to go back, and I still need to go back and watch the older one from like I think it was from 94. It was a series of Pride and Prejudice I had never seen.
I've never seen that. I've only ever seen the Keira Knightley one.
Okay. Yeah. So I loved it, obviously, but I wish I had read Pride and Prejudice before, because I understand it so much better. Like, the love is formed so much more, you know, between the characters, and it's so much better. So I feel like in the movie, it really, the 1994 version really, you know, it's like Joe. But in the book, it really equals out all of the characters.
Says we have to watch the BBC version. Okay. I'm making a note. I'm making a note.
Okay, so I think I actually watched, maybe it was a PBS one. It must have been PBS, I think, version of Little Women, because there's been a couple that have come out.
BBC version of Pride and Prejudice or Little Women, Hannah? And then tell us why. What makes it superior? A whole weekend. It's an event. We can try to figure out how to set up watch parties, guys.
Awesome. Yes. We need to just go back and you just pick a weekend to do Pride and Prejudice binge watching. So, anyway, I'm gonna just try one more time, okay? And if we can't get you in here, Amelia, I'm sorry, and we love you. But anyway, so yeah, kind of going into character development. Let's see, I have a little list here that I'm kind of looking at as I chat. So Marmee was like a big focus, and I have never read the Marmee book. I didn't know it existed. Hold on a second. Hannah just said something. Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to like make a note to watch the BBC Pride and Prejudice version, because I love that, the character development. That's awesome. Cool. Thanks, Hannah. Anyway, so yeah, so Marmee, I've totally like lost track of what
we were talking about. Marmee, Marmee Wisdom, maybe.
Yes, Marmee Wisdom. So I've never read the book. That's where I was at. I've never read the Marmee book, and I want to read it now. I know that there was a little bit of a chat going on in band talking about it, and I'm really interested now, because as I was kind of thinking about this live and kind of preparing for it, I kind of went back and found all of the places where Marmee was like sharing her wisdom, and I would just like to know more about her. And maybe as the story goes on, there's more about her, but I would like to hear her history, and you kind of get a glimpse into who she is whenever her and Joe are there. Joe had, Amy had fallen in the ice, and it was Joe's taking the blame for that. She was like, I was so angry, you know, and Amy could have died. Like, she literally could have been swept away. And so I think that hitting Joe was a really hard point for her. And for Marmee to be able to come in and be like, oh, it's okay, you know, or get mad about it. She was like,
invite her now, by the way. Since like, she's in the live, you might be able to invite her now, and it will probably prompt her. There you go. Okay.
Like, I have been there, and you're here. Sorry. You made it.
Fine. You're fine.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Hi. You're good.
We're glad Marmee Wisdom.
So we're just like talking about Marmee Wisdom. But do you want to do an intro first for yourself?
Do you want us to go first?
Did you guys go?
We haven't gotten yet.
No, not really. We just started talking.
Okay. Jacki, you go first.
Okay. All right. So we're just gonna
roll back.
Restart here. So I'm Jacki. I have 4 sons. My Instagram is These Slow Days. It's like tagged and all the things. And I am just so glad that Ashley asked us to read together last summer, because we were able to invite all of the rest of you into Storied Motherhood and what it's become. And I've read a lot more in the last year nearly, and I'm loving it. So it's been really great and enriching. I've always loved to read ever since I was a kid, but I kind of lost that love when I was in college, and here I am. And so, yeah, but I want my kids to have a love of reading too. So I want them to find me reading and growing myself in that way. So that's one big incentive for me. But
okay. I am this joy-filled house. I have 3 kids. I have 2 sons and a daughter, 7, 6, and 5, or almost 5, sorry. And yeah, we homeschool in Texas, and Jackie, you do too. You're in Texas as well. So yeah, I was a prolific reader. I'm hyperlexic. That means I can read at an accelerated rate. So I can knock out about 2 books a week usually. That's my average. But after college, I was like burned out from it. My love for it was gone. I didn't want to read anymore. And like you said, this is just really kind of rekindled. I have a giant bookshelf over here that I show sometimes, and I hadn't read a single book on it. I will still buy books with all the best intentions. And then I was like, I need people to, I'll get like a quarter of the way through, and I'm like, okay, I have to stop because I need to invite people to read this with me because this is so good and I have to talk about it. And then I never would. And then the book would be, I have like 7 quarter read books done on my shelf. So this was born. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so blessed and thankful that you guys are along this journey with me. Couldn't do it without you guys. Your turn, girlfriend.
My turn. I'm Amelia. I have a boy mom, 1-year-old, 5-year-old, and then an almost 8-year-old. Super nervous right now.
First lives are hard.
You're doing great.
I fell asleep.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, it's okay. So it's like super early there right now because it's
the baby
12,
back to bed.
15.
And then
oh my gosh.
Oh, that never happened to you guys.
Yeah,
so what was I on? Okay, so born and raised in Hawaii, Oahu is our island. My love of reading started when I guess my parents always took us to the library, and also my grandfather, he was this really loud Asian Okinawan man, and he would take us almost every day after school. And one day I found Little Women. It was a red covered leather cover with gold lettering on top at the library in my kids, or not, I guess teen section. And I picked it out and I grabbed it, and I was about to, he was there, and I was about to borrow it, and he looks at me and he goes, "I'm sorry, you can't read that." He tells me, "You're a little young for that. I think you should wait." So I had it back, and the next time I went to the library was with my mom, and I got it, and I read it, and I was like, I kind of was like that last chapter in the March, when Mrs. March, or Aunt March, told Meg she can't marry Mr. Brooke. It was like the same thing. I was like, I'm sorry, but my grandpa told me I couldn't, so I'm gonna do it anyways. I read the 800 pages front to back, and I loved it. That's why I loved Little Women. That was like the first time I read it, and I never did tell him I read it. But he was awesome.
I love it.
No, he passed away a while ago, but yeah, that was my story.
What a rebel!
Yes, totally. And I wonder if he knew when he said that you were going to go back and get it.
Yeah.
Just do it anyway.
I'm going to read it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That is so cool. That's an awesome story. Oh, thanks for sharing that. I love that. Yeah. So Marnie, so we're kind of talking about, first of all, we were talking about the quiz. What did you get? I can't remember.
Even when I was little, I looked up to Joe. I always wanted to be her, writer, creative, kind of like the older sister, because I kind of I am the older sister. I'm the second oldest, so I guess her, yeah. And then when I took the quiz, I was Joe's awesome. Yeah.
Cool. So you're both Joe.
I was actually
you both got Joe.
You're Joe.
Yeah. I'm Joe.
Yeah.
In every way.
Totally.
You, Joe.
I love it. That's awesome. I mean, I feel like Beth, I can see Beth in myself. That's who I got, but I don't really completely see it at all. I think that she was much more, I don't know, like I definitely have a, anxious side, but she was much more anxious,
Hmm.
I think, than I am. But yeah, I definitely, that's funny that I got her. Probably because I'm kind of driven by like doing things and like duty and like, like that kind of thing, taking care of others, which maybe that's because I'm a mom too. I
Makes
kind of fall into that right now,
sense.
especially.
I
But
love Beth is so
yeah, yeah. So, um,
I love Beth. She's sweet. She's
what
so
was
sweet.
that?
She is very sweet. I wish I was like
Right.
Beth. I
I,
am not like Beth. I would
Yeah.
I'm not like Beth at all.
I know.
Okay. So did we want to talk
That's
about
awesome.
Marmy wisdom?
Um, Marmy wisdom, yes. So, let's see. So a second ago, I was talking about how Joe, when Amy, like you kind of see this history of Marmy starting to develop whenever Amy, and if you can think of an instance before this, whenever Amy fell into the water and then Joe, it's Joe's fault. Like Joe takes the blame. She's like
Hmm.
devastated by it. She's just so broken over like what could have happened
Hmm.
because of her anger. And then Marmy comes in and she like instead of getting onto her, getting her in trouble or saying, don't worry about it and like not validating her feelings, Marmy comes in and she's like, this is something you're going to have to learn to control. And she's like so matter of fact about it. And she's like, but your whole life you're going to be dealing with this. And I have always dealt with it. That's what she's saying to her. And I think that like really shows a glimpse into who like Marmy was before she had children, maybe even as she has children, because she deals with that daily. But it's just like, I think it's such a beautiful view of motherhood and
Yeah, I
who she
agree.
Yeah,
is.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
liked how
So,
she used herself as an example and said, like you were saying, like, hey, I struggled with this.
Hmm.
And I was actually able to take Marmy's example and use it that night I read it. It was really fun. Yes, we were
oh,
having a lot
really?
of, just to put it in perspective, the verse we are memorizing as a family is, vengeance is mine, says the Lord.
Hmm.
Because we have a lot of, well, you punched me, so I'm going to punch you back harder. And you punched me harder, so now I'm going to kick you. And
Yeah.
now just a bunch of tits for tats going on. And so I was able to, everyone was just sitting around the table really angry at each other because everyone had decided to take everyone's eyes out. And it was like, okay, guys, the whole world is blind currently. Let's lay some Marmy wisdom on you. And I said, I have this friend, and her little girl was really angry at her sister, and she made a really dangerous situation for her sister. She fell in the ice, and then just basically read them the story of how Marmy talked to Joe about how she treated her sister and how dangerous anger is as it, if you keep going and keep going and keep going, and then how regretful they both felt after being so dangerous to each other. And they still talk about, my kids still talk about it. Hey, remember that story about Marmy? Do you remember that story about Joe? Don't be like Joe.
I love that.
My little 4-year-old walking around
Yeah.
saying, don't be like Joe.
So
I
It
really,
was so cute.
I really like how Marmy
cool.
told her
Yeah.
her fault too, because I think a lot of times parents don't say, I like own up to it. I owe this, that
Yeah.
and that if
Right.
you don't notice it, like she said, then Joe was more in tune, like, oh wait, yeah, you do that. Right? You're right. That's what you do when you're angry, but you are. So that was cool to read about. And I'm like, okay, I think maybe if I'm more vulnerable with my kids and say, hey, I'm working on this too, then it like kind of brings in and be like, okay, let's work on it together.
Mhm.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Love that. Yes. Totally. Um, yeah. So I think like another instance, do you guys have any more instances of Marmy, like where where she comes out and is talking to the girls and like inputting her wisdom that you really enjoyed or you found inspirational?
I was like, that.
There really is. Yeah. Like I have my book here and I'm like, I marked a few spots of where, and I think, you know, what were you saying, Ashley?
You know, she just was so exemplary of slow motherhood. She had a lot of duty. She was constantly doing something. There's a lot to do. But she always made time for her kids. If they had a problem, she would sit down, make eye contact, and talk to them until they were comforted. She wouldn't just be like, oh, you'll be fine, get over it, and move on with life. I feel like with how fast-paced life is now that we kind of have to do that sometimes. We feel we have to do that sometimes. And so it was really comforting that, hey, this is actually really, it's the work. This is why you're here. This is the work. Not all that stuff. That stuff can work. That will be there after this is done.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you see that like at the very beginning of the story too. I think it was with I think it was chapter 1, Playing Pilgrims, and it's where Marmee comes in the end of the day, like it's late in the day, and she brings a letter, and it says like, and something, I don't have a quote, but Marmee sits down and she gets ready to enjoy her favorite hour of the day. And so like she finds enjoyment in her children, and she, like you were saying, like she truly enjoys their company, which I feel like sometimes can be hard to enjoy my children's company, especially if they're, being loud or they're doing something or getting on to each other, or I have things to do. Like for her to be able to be like, she's got like probably 10,000 other things to do because she's been gone at work, working somewhere all day. Takes that hour to like sit and enjoy her kids and pour into them. And yeah, she does. She just takes it like life slowly with them. And she's not in a rush. So
yeah, too. I guess I remember they got everything ready for her, and then she came in, and she kind of acted like queen and warmed her slippers. It was.
Yeah. It's like I guess through the years of her focusing on them and working, like, giving them time, they're like starting to reciprocate that to her, which is like a really cool view, because I have like, my oldest is 9, so anything, like I'm not really seeing the reciprocating a whole lot yet, although I see little glimmers of it, like little things that he'll do where I'm like, okay, this is amazing. Like these little seeds that I've planted are kind of, they're starting to pop up. And so I love that. That's kind of like what Marmee, you kind of get that feel that, he's been planting those seeds all along. And good point about they got it ready for her because they love her and that's the way they show.
And I think it's important to underline what you were saying is a lot of us here are young moms. I know there's several who are maybe empty nesters now and who have, are entering into empty nesting here too. We have moms of every walks of life in here, but I think the majority of us are young moms. And it seems like fruitless, sun beat down on your backs labor, and you're like, I just want one sprout, please. But I'm friends with a bunch of professional gardeners, published in magazines, gardeners, and they say the most difficult thing, and it's actually considered an intermediate to advanced level thing, is seed starting. That is the hardest part of gardening, is starting seeds. And so just having that encouragement of, yes, this season is hard. It is the hardest. Planting seeds is the hardest, but you will see those little sprouts coming up if you are just diligent day over day and keep working. The Lord's there with you. You're not in it alone. And just because you see Marmee reaping the benefits of all she's sown now doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. You're still in the seed planting season. You're still propagating those little seeds, giving them all the little things they need. They are drama queens, little seeds. I don't know if you have drama queen seeds, but I have drama queen seeds. And they have high maintenance and they need a lot from me. And by the end of the day, I feel like, Lord, I have nothing left. My cup needs to be a little bit deeper tomorrow. Can you give me more? And he is so good and sufficient in giving grace for every single morning. I have exactly what I need for that day. So just remembering that Marmee is reaping the benefits of what she has spent years and years pouring into these kids. She first served them, and now they know how to serve.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so good. Yeah. Kind of like planting those seeds and continuing. And you, like, Marmee, she does it so well. Obviously,
Right.
like, it's a fictional book, but and
Please
she's
remember,
so
this is
awesome.
a fictional woman.
In her life, kind of, right?
Yeah, right. Well, whatever. But yeah, so I was gonna move to chapter 11, which I went on a walk the other day. It was like last week sometime, and I was listening to the audiobook. Like, I've kind of been switching back and forth, like reading the book, physical book, and then switching to audiobook. And we hit chapter 11. It's called Experiments. And I just love how Marmee sits back and watches the girls, like they're like so excited to like be doing nothing, you know, like all summer, and we're not all summer, but like for this month where everyone's vacationing and their jobs are, you know, Aunt March is gone and the Kings are gone and like all this, and they don't have anything to do. And so they're like, we're just going to take a week off. And Marmee like encourages it. And then because she knows what's going to happen. And when I was listening to that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my house every day. Like it's like I could, if I stopped picking up or stopped cleaning, stopped doing things for one day, my house would be, everything would feel chaotic. I would feel awful. Like I would not be joyful. I would be mad and angry. And I think that is like, it was such a good lesson for her to teach them. To I think at the end of the chapter, she says, you know, are you ready to pick up your burdens again? Because burdens are good for you. And I should have underlined it because it's such a good, I could probably find it here. But it's like, oh my gosh. Oh, you have it. Yes. Okay. So Amelia, that's amazing. Can you read it to us?
Your little burdens again. For though they seem heavy, sometimes they are good for us and lighten as we learn to carry them.
Yes. I love that. And I have that printed off too. I'm going to go like color it today, and I'm going to hang it on my fridge because I literally printed it off from the journal. Oh, so good. So good. Yeah. So that's probably my favorite chapter because it's so true. There's like so much truth in it. And yeah.
I really like how she just let them do it. Just like, okay, have at it. 1 week. Was it 1 week? I'll give you guys.
Yeah. I think it was 1 week. I was like Monday to like Saturday or something.
To put the icing on the cake, she left. She left for the day.
Yeah, she left. And she went up into her room like too at one point and was just like, she was gonna stay in bed all day or whatever. Like, don't worry about me. I'm gonna go stay in bed.
Just got to this part and I was cackling. I was like, yep, that would be my house.
Yes.
I've had a muscle issue in my shoulder, so I haven't been able to do any lifting or moving or even like bending or turning my head is an issue right now. And it's been so sweet. My boys have been tucking me into bed every night to make sure I have all of the things. They tuck me in with their stuffies. It's so cute. But the house, I'm like, this is the only clean corner in my house. And in fact, there's stuff on the floor right here you can't see. I am in the only clean corner of my house. This is it. Every surface is covered. I mean, it's been crazy. I texted the girls this in our group chat that I literally have bookshelves falling down right now. It's insane. It's just like, okay, I did this thing and now I have to do this mess to get rid of that mess, and now my bookshelves are falling out, so I can't put any of the messes away, so I have like 2 different piles going on, and I haven't been able to do very much about it.
Yeah. And like, I feel like Marmee, she just needed that time, but it totally threw their home off too when she like kind of let go. So yeah, I think that and that kind of goes back to, I guess, the seed planting, like kind of with your sons, like you're saying, like they're bringing you, they're tucking you in, like you've been planting those seeds as you have done that for them, and they're learning how to care. And so like you see the sisters like starting to really
Yes,
care
Emily.
about things around the
There's
house.
even jobs assigned in the Garden of Eden. Yes.
That was so good. So good. Yeah, it's like we need that. We need that. Even if we think we don't want it, we still need work of some sort. And probably work of the home is one of the most important jobs. Anyway, and so, yeah. So here's what's interesting to me. So the girls, they don't really know how to cook very well. And I thought that was interesting because I guess it's because Hannah does, was that her name, Hannah? She does most of it. So that is interesting to me, especially in their time period, that were they expected when they got married, and maybe this is farther in the book. You may know, Amelia. Do they hire people to come and help them with house duties or make food?
I don't think so, though, actually. Yeah. I kind of want a Hannah.
Really? I know. Well, that would, yes, right. I guess maybe it's something that you learn like when you get there, but I feel like that is one thing that I was surprised as I'm reading it. Like they weren't really prepped for that. Like the whole sugar salt incident was hilarious. It was in chapter 11 too. And when Joe like makes the cake with salt instead of sugar, and everyone's like trying to like get it down, and yeah. But I mean, at least she's trying. But so when I first got married, or even when I lived on my own for a little bit, I really just got takeout. Like I didn't make food for myself, which is probably horrible for my body, right? But then I got married and I was like, I'm gonna try to start making meals. And I've never really cooked. My mom, she definitely like had me in the kitchen helping, but I guess it just never clicked. That was something that my sister did more, and I just didn't enjoy it. And so I go one morning, my husband has to go to work. I'm like, I'm gonna make hard-boiled eggs. And so I make hard-boiled eggs, and like they've been like boiling long enough, or like I boiled the water and then I turned it off and then I let the egg sit, but not in boiling water. I did something wrong. And he got to work and he like opened the egg like when he got there, and it was like completely running everywhere. And so, I mean, maybe that's what happened to the girls when they like finally get married. Like they're going to make those big mistakes when it comes to, you know, taking care of a home. But I just thought that was interesting that they were not prepped.
I think it was, I might be wrong in this, so somebody who knows history better than I do, correct me, but I think it was common up until the 1950s in a lot of cases to have help in some capacity, you know, because of our American society as it is. Today, we don't really have the village that we were set up to have. And the village would be including having people come in and take care of your house and do the cooking for you in various capacities. It kind of started being a disappearing job and becoming more of an elitist, higher class, I guess is a better word for that. Only accessible to higher class people because, you know, hey, you got to pay fair wages, and I'm barely being paid fair wages myself, so I can't give you all of my wages.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that. I'll have to look into that.
I was driving home from work last night. Wow, how do they have a Hannah?
Yeah.
That's exactly that you brought that up.
I know.
A random thought.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. Well, I guess if I keep reading, keep listening, which I think like after this month, I have rented the book on Libby, so like my library app, and I'm just going to keep listening and try to finish it out. So maybe I'll get some
answers
about housekeeping and then
Meg
totally
has like a little bit of a hard time on housekeeping and all that, and does look to Mark for all that. So the second part is a good, I think, with Mommy's Wisdom is a good one to read for housewife and all of that kind of, and children and kids. So stay part 2.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Right. It was 10 so I haven't read the second part yet since when I was little. So I don't 100% remember everything, but
yeah. And I'm like, there's a lot in part 2. Like, if you like look at on my app that I was listening to, it said there was like 18 more hours left or something. And that was when I was at I was probably at like chapter 17. So crazy, like there's so much left in that like other part. So I mean, a part 2 maybe, maybe, I don't know, maybe that should happen. But okay, so I have a couple of other things. Anything more about like Marmee, kind of like on the subject of Marmee and motherhood that you guys want to add?
Oh,
I have a bunch of good quotes. We take notes and we made an outline for ourselves so that we would like stay on track. We're doing an excellent job right now, by the way.
I print that.
The quote, don't grow up too quickly. Children should be children for as long as they can.
Oh.
I want to like tattoo that on people. Like you need this wisdom in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I lean too far into that. I'm like, let's just never do school. But the other people I know could definitely use this wisdom. I feel like it's something that I love. I adore this about homeschool. It's my favorite thing about homeschool. It's just long reigning childhood. Childhood is king. It is so important. Play is king. That's the saying in our house is, hey, you know what? Play is king. Well, that's okay. We'll just keep rolling. We do school a year long so that we can relax and have play be king.
Same, yeah.
And my 4-year-old is not enrolled in our school right now. I don't start until age 7. And even then we only do like an hour and a half max for our whole day. And so I'll ask my daughter and say, hey, you want to do school today? She's like, nah. And then she'll walk away and that'll be that. And that's fine. Other times she's like, got to do it, Mom. I want to do 5 pages of math today. And I have stuff for her and we'll do the 5 pages of math and that's that. And we've made up the whole week of math right there. So it's like waiting for them to choose that they're ready to learn has been such a just staple in our home. Mm-hmm.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I agree with that. I definitely I don't push them, especially when they're younger. My 9-year-old, I do more pushing. There's certain things he do. But my 6-year-old, if some days, if he's kind of cranky or whatever is going on, something's going on. He was sick a few days ago, so I think he's still recovering from that. I'm just just take it easy. We don't need to do this now. Go find a book to look at. Go play. Go do something. And have freedom that homeschool brings, because then that can allow them to learn to love learning rather than feel like it's a chore so much, But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So there was one part here. It's whenever Joe is talking to Marmee about Meg and John. Is that his name, Mr. Brooks? John? I think it's John. About Mr. Brooks, and she's telling Marmee about the glove situation, and Joe is mad about it. She's like, this is not okay. I don't want Meg to grow up and get married. And Marmee the way that she approaches it so well with Joe, and she lets Joe kind of let out that frustration. And then she goes into this part where she's where Joe is asking, don't you want us to marry for money, basically? And Marmee's like, no. She's like, I want you to marry for love. I don't want you to marry for money. She's like, there's so much joy that can be found in a poor home with a loving family. And the words, but I think that is probably, I don't know, for that time period, it may be a little more, right now it's yeah, of course, marry for love, yes. But back then, I feel that may have been a little less heard of. So Marmee, speaking that truth about marrying because you love someone is going to lead to a much happier life, Internally, maybe your circumstances are on the outside, but rather than marrying for riches or to be rich and being miserable. So I just think that's a really beautiful thing to share with her.
Marmee is the best mother figure in literature, so opposite of Miss Bennett. I agree.
That's true. Yes, Marcy's happiness.
Absolutely.
Happiness was the one thing she wanted for them, and would
Mhm.
fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, this is a little history here. What year was this written?
Oh,
Do we know?
hold on, let me see.
Like, and then what year was Pride and Prejudice written? Because that's so funny because they're probably written around the same time. And you see these two mother figures that are totally
Okay, so
opposite.
Pride and Prejudice was completed in 1797.
And then
And
1869. The letter.
1869 was Pride and Prejudice? Okay, cool. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Okay, and Pride and Prejudice was 1789?
97.
Oh, 100 years.
Okay. Well, okay. They're a long ways apart, but yeah, that is so interesting. Thanks for like bringing that up, Leilani. That's very like so true. So true. They're total opposites. So maybe a lot kind of shifted because you're talking a few generations later with Marmee being a mother and sharing that. So maybe things have already started shifting like in society. Hannah said, you may have already talked about this, but I think what I was struck with is the wisdom from Louisa having never been a mother herself. Makes me think she must have just had a wonderful mother. That's so true. Yeah.
I think she
Absolutely.
based her own mom to the story as well.
Aww. It's a mom tribute.
Okay.
And she also had 3 sisters, I think. Yeah. So
Okay.
her life.
That's
Okay.
so cool. Yeah. That is really cool. I think like this kind of goes into homeschool territory, but I think it's interesting also, like she has like this, she wrote this beautiful view of like being a mother, but also like Charlotte Mason, she was not a mother. And think about all the things that she wrote that were so intuitive for mothers and about mothers and for children. And I think that's really, really cool. It's like, because it gives you an interesting perspective because you're just watching. You're not experiencing it. You're not like in the trenches necessarily, but you're getting to see like the whole view of motherhood and parenting. And I think that's really cool.
It's Charlotte Mason because I feel like a lot of the Marmee brings is kind of Charlotte Mason. I was getting like those vibes, especially when one of the quotes said, Marmee always wants us to be outside whenever possible. And that's when they start society and all they're outside sewing, knitting, doing all that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
When I was reading
that.
as a kid, I would make my sister be in my Busy Bee club, and the first thing we made were beanbags. This is the reason why I wanted to start knitting or learning more of those kinds of handcraft type things. And so I called her up when we were reading the book together, and I'm like, hey, you remember this? You remember that? She's like, yes, I totally remember. It was so
awesome.
funny.
That's so cool.
Yes, sorry. It was just laughing at me.
That's amazing.
So glad I have
that
outlet.
Yeah. Yes. I love that you actually did that.
Yeah. And then I asked her.
You were homeschooling before you were homeschooled.
I was. She tells me that she was my first student. She tells me that because we would play teacher, and she would always have to be the student. And I called. Well, I read. So when I was reading beforehand, for this month, I was reading. I'm like, why does the Pickwick Club sound so familiar? Why does this? Like, I swear I used to make a newspaper. So I call her up, and she's like, yes, we did that. We totally did that, 100%. We wrote a newspaper, everything. And I was like, okay, that's
That's so cool. I love what you created too, like this month, and like getting the kids involved.
You
Like you
really
did
did.
such a good
We really
job.
are so blessed by
But yeah,
you.
yeah, and the journals, like it's all so so good.
I got
And I
with it.
yeah,
I
thank
got
you so
excited.
much for all. Yeah, yeah, I think that's like what makes it like so fun when we read the novels is it's like I can tell like how much you love it by like the content you're putting out by it, you know, like the stories you're posting and like all of that. I can totally tell, and that's what makes it so much fun. And I think that's one reason why everyone just loves the
I
novel
totally
Mm-hmm.
my
months.
childhood, obviously. I guess you could.
Yeah, 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 totally. So. Okay, so did we have a question? I think we had a couple questions, but they're like, I can't remember. Oh, um, so Leilani asked about
Oh,
Storied Motherhood merch in that question box that you posted. I know there was one other one. I can't remember what it was. I'm trying to remember. I looked at it
yes.
this morning
Amelia
and then
did such a good job on the
but yeah,
journal. Like, Amelia, just round of applause for that. That was such a
yeah,
good job.
Totally. I
yes,
was reading it. I was maybe a couple chapters
awesome.
in. I was like, wait a sec. Well, reading it as a child is different from reading it as a mom. So as a kid, I was getting more of the sister vibe, sisterly stuff, things to do with my sister,
Mm-hmm.
family stuff. And then when I was reading it a couple chapters in, I was like, wow, I'm really getting the mommy, lessons. Getting it from her perspective. I'm really taking that in. So I was like, well, what if I bring it, kind of get those questions into the journal, and I kind of wanted it to be focused more on motherhood since we're storied mother.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why I started the journal. I was like, wait a second, I have so many questions that we can talk about or discussion. So I just started writing it down. I'm like, okay, I have enough, I think, for a journal. I'll just make that. And then
You're
and then
awesome.
color
Yeah.
pages.
Yes, I'm gonna go find that sheet of paper and color that like quote because I need it. I need it like right there on my fridge.
So glad you.
Yeah, totally. Well, you did a great job on it, and I know that everyone's really enjoyed it. I think we ended up, sending out quite a few in those a couple of days, and then like if anyone is watching and you are interested in the journal, we have a link to it to Amelia's Etsy shop too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want it, because it's really, really well. So I did not do the child journal because my oldest is 9 and I have 4 boys. So I was like, they probably don't want to read Little Women and it may be a little too big for them anyway right now. But if I had a daughter,
I have boys too. I read the first chapter to my son and he was like, okay. I mean, he enjoyed it. So, all right.
totally.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Amelia, do you want to talk about the merch that we have coming?
I am wearing the shirt.
Oh,
Awesome. Yes.
Super cute. Awesome.
What else do we have?
We have a tote bag.
Oh, we have a bag. Hold on.
Tote bag.
Wait, no, it's downstairs. The same the bag, a tote bag, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then were we working on stickers or something else? I think we had talked about it at one point, but don't remember what we decided.
Still in the works.
Okay. Yeah, so there is some stuff semi-available right now, but not anything that's like, here's exactly where to get it. We don't exactly have perfectly set up yet. We're working on it.
No. We're working on it. Yeah, there's a lot of things in the works right now. But, we're going to have more. So, like, the interview with Jamie Erickson will be up on YouTube and podcast, hopefully by the end of the week, which it's Thursday.
One day.
Maybe by the end of next week. And, so we have fun stuff. And then next month, we're reading Modern Miss Mason, which is going to be great. We haven't announced this, but we have an interview lined up at the end of the month with her. It's like May 23rd, so it's not super far. And that's going to be a really
I'm so
awesome
excited.
one. Yeah. Do you guys have your books
I
yet?
think I do.
Let's see. I know you do, Amelia.
I think I do. I think it's one I've already had. I'll check.
I just finished chapter
What'd you say, Amelia?
You're ahead.
Okay, cool.
There's me
So good.
at the end.
It's really good.
So I had to spend and then wait a little bit. I'm sure you have a lot, Jack.
Yeah, I really like the Mason moments at the end, and I was inspired to get like a couple of the volumes. So I have home education and school education. I'm trying to get the pinks all together, but I misplaced home education somewhere. I'm like halfway through it, and I did not know where I put it.
No.
I went to the link a few weeks ago, and I can't find it. So I don't know if I left it there, if it fell behind something weird, but I cannot find it.
Yes.
Like I want to read them alongside each other. Like Modern Miss Mason, because I listened to it already, but I feel like that's different than like actually reading it and underlining and marking and all of that. So I'm really excited to jump into that. And Leah Bowden, if you don't already follow her, she's really awesome. Yeah. So I always enjoy the she posts. So yeah, well, I'm so glad we got together to chat about
we
did it.
First group live in the books.
Yes. I think we should do this like tomorrow.
Did I miss all the questions?
Yeah. So I didn't really see any questions come through. And then I know the question box, I looked at it and then I forgot about it. So there was 2 questions. One was about the merch, and then one, I don't remember what it said. So, but yeah. So
you can always ask your questions now, and we'll answer them for 3 more minutes, or you can post them after the fact, and we can write out answers and stuff. I'm sure this will be available after the fact.
Yes, totally. Anyone has any questions?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Sure.
Just kidding.
Yes,
hilarious.
Absolutely. So I'm like, I still need to finish I'm on chapter 22, I believe. So I need to finish the rest between now and Monday to stay on. And then I'm hoping to finish the whole thing.
When's our Friday?
Yeah.
When is last Friday? Is it next week?
Oh. Tomorrow, everybody.
Tomorrow.
Oh,
right?
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
So if you haven't finished your book, don't worry. You can post anyway. You can post a partial review. You can just post, hey, this is what I'm reading and I'm still reading it. Like, you can participate in any capacity that you want, or you don't have to participate at all. It's just kind of a celebration we do all together the first Friday and the last Friday. So, like, let it be your thing.
Right. And you can always post it also once you post your post in our band chat. That's for like self-promo. So people in band can also see it. And it's a good way to connect too. I know that I've connected with quite a few people who are in Storied Motherhood now too, because of like the hashtags and the tags.
And if you are in our band, we have excellent, amazing conversations there. Random times of the day, like, please feel free to hop in. There's instructions in the Start Here section in our Instagram. Are they called highlights? Highlights up there.
Yeah.
There's a link up there for you to just hop right in. So feel free to do that. You can participate in any capacity that you wish. It's kind of a come as you are group anyway. So thank you guys for doing this. This has been so much fun.
This was so fun. I'm glad that we decided to do a live, and it worked out well. So, and this month has been so good. Thank you, Amelia. It's been really
and thank
awesome.
you to everyone and participating and answering my questions whenever I put it up in stories. It's really helpful. And thank you.
Great. Well, you guys have a wonderful day.
You too. Good.
All right,
guys.
Bye.